Digital spaces have become part of everyday life. They are where we learn, communicate, share stories, and increasingly where culture is documented and preserved. For Indigenous communities, these spaces create new opportunities to share language, knowledge, and cultural practices with broader audiences. At the same time, they raise questions about how traditions are represented and how knowledge is transmitted. With that in mind, I chose to focus on the guiding question: how do Indigenous peoples and communities represent and portray themselves in media and online spaces? In the 1990s, Loretta Todd was already thinking about the relationship between Indigenous knowledge and digital spaces. Rather than assuming technology would automatically be positive or negative, she asked a more fundamental question: can Indigenous narratives, histories, languages, and knowledge find meaning in cyberspace? So Todd shifts the conversation away from the technology itself and more toward the values embedded within it. She reminds us that digital spaces are not neutral. The important question is who gets to shape them and whose knowledge is represented within them. Todd asks whether these Indigenous narratives, histories, languages, and knowledge can find meaning in cyberspace. So I want to use Hilda's discussion of Sami digital media as a possible response. Hilda describes how Sami communities are using digital platforms to support language learning, music, and cultural revitalization. He argues that digital media can create new opportunities for the traditions, suggesting that technology can play a role in sustaining Indigenous knowledge rather than simply replacing traditional ways of learning. One example he discusses is the use of digital tools to teach a traditional Sami vocal practice. Recordings, educational software, and online platforms make it possible for learners to engage with these traditions across both time and distance. So Hilda's answer is ultimately an optimistic one. Digital technologies can support cultural revitalization, language learning, and the transmission of knowledge. At the same time, the very tools that make traditions more accessible also alter how they're encountered. That brings me to my discussion question. Can digital technologies strengthen oral traditions, or do they inevitably change them by turning them into recorded and archived form? Thank you.